Good evening, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I am your host, Courtney C. And I hope everybody had a great weekend. It was Mother's Day yesterday. So to all the mothers out there, I hope you had a beautiful day. I am diving into part 5 of how I have come to the conclusion, my theory, speculation, that the family knows who kidnapped Nancy. And while I believe that they know who kidnapped Nancy, I don't believe that they know the name of the person, but I believe that somebody had been communicating with Savannah for several months and that they know of an underlying issue that had been occurring in the background. And as a result of Savannah not doing something, not reacting, giving attention, giving money, whatever it was, that this person went way beyond anything that could be considered human and took Nancy. And I believe that this is the last thing that anybody would have ever thought could ever happen from retaliation. So I want to talk about, first of all, we're on day 100, okay? And I want to give some thought to that. I mean, the fact that we're on day 100 and people say, obviously, the case is not cold. Even though I believe the family knows who kidnapped Nancy, again, I don't think that they have the name of the person. This person has been sophisticated enough with ransom notes and communications that they've hidden themselves. And I believe it's been difficult for them to get caught. Again, they've been sophisticated just enough to get past day 100. But I think that even though we have probably lost Nancy, and a lot of my angst in the very beginning was hurry, find Nancy. But, you know, we all believe that she's gone. And so at this point, it's just getting justice for Nancy and maybe some closure for the family. So I'm going to share some videos. I'm going to share my screen. And while I do that, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm so happy to have everybody. All right, I have to remember to change my little screen every time. So we're going to start tonight off with a NewsNation video about an ex-CIA agent talking about how the case is not hopeless after 3 months. Again, my cup is half full. My cup is not half empty. I am very optimistic that something will be done. And later on, after we look at a few videos, I want to talk about how I think that law enforcement needs to change how they've been doing some things in order to help us help them. So let's watch this, and then we will get into a few other things.
Nearly 100 days, and her family, of course, feeling her absence on this Mother's Day. Her daughter, Savannah, sharing this message about her mother today, saying, "We will never stop looking for you. We will never be at peace until we find you." NewsNation national security contributor, former CIA officer, and FBI special agent Tracy Walder, tracking this case since the beginning. She's joining us live now to talk about any of these latest developments. Tracy, first of all, happy Mother's Day to you, and thank you so much for making the time tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, Natasha.
We do see Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos telling news outlets that the developments have been, quote, really great right now. Are we finally hearing about any progress in this investigation, in your opinion?
In my opinion, no. And I know that will be frustrating to people because he said it sort of in passing. If you look at that statement, he really didn't elaborate on it. Now, is he referring to maybe the hair that was sent to Quantico that I think we talked about a few weeks ago? Or is he talking about maybe there's more digital evidence that has been able to be recovered? We know that they were still continuing to work on recovering that digital evidence. They just didn't feel that it was promising to do so, but he didn't elaborate. So it's hard to know if he really meant what he said.
And let's talk about Savannah Guthrie's words on social media today. One can only imagine what this is like for her and her family. She says, "We need help." She says somebody knows something that can make a difference here. It has been 98 days. It is staggering with the best minds on this case since Nancy Guthrie vanished from her home in Arizona. Is there hope that she can be found at this point?
I think there's always hope that she can be found. And I don't want to say that that would never happen. I think what is, surprising to most people is that in this day and age, particularly with the copious amount of digital surveillance that we have, the fact that absolutely nothing has surfaced, not even a license plate of vehicles coming in and out of where her street was, nothing has surfaced, I think makes people feel that this is probably hopeless. I don't think it's hopeless, and that I do hope that at some point she will be recovered. And I agree with what Savannah Guthrie said, that someone does know something, and it's just a question of if someone will ever come forward.
I do want to switch gears tonight and talk about the hantavirus as well. We just got confirmed in the last 20 minutes or so. We know within the hour, 17 Americans will be back stateside. They're on a plane right now. They get to choose whether to quarantine in Nebraska after being on.
I didn't realize they were sharing this segment, but that's okay. That's okay. That hantavirus, we don't even need to go down that road, guys. Okay. So yes, nothing new in this video. Obviously, we've got the sheriff saying some things, and I wanted to share a video of him talking about the progress that's being made on the case. And again, it's just kind of hard to take this guy. He's got a little bit of some pressure being put on him, especially tomorrow. The Pima County supervisors are meeting, and we're going to take a look at a video on that next. But I wanted to play this. I'm not sure exactly. It looks like Fox News. I'm not sure who this reporter is, but they did run into the sheriff leaving the building, and I'm not sure what his face is, but I don't know. I think he's a puke. So we'll just play this for funsies.
Sheriff, how are you? Good. It's Mother's Day on Sunday. I was wondering if you had a message for the Guthrie family.
It's hard to hear him.
Sorry, sir? You're okay? It's 100 days now almost, sir. Are you guys any closer to solving? Hey,
He
Sheriff,
just says we
how
are, and that's pretty much it.
Good.
So, I mean, it's very, very
Mother's Day on
short. But look at
Sunday.
this. Look
I
at
was
the
wondering if you had
stature of this
a message
guy.
for the Guthrie family.
I mean, he's just not likable. And again, I don't like to focus too much on him, but he really has not helped. He really has not helped this case. I think he's really hindered this case, and unfortunately, it is at the expense of Nancy. But of course, he's going to say, if anybody walks up to him and says, hey, how is the case going? Of course, he's going to say it's fine. That we're getting closer. Of course he is, because he likes to just blow smoke. So let's watch this next video. We're going to get through these videos, and then we'll get into more of a conversation. But this next video is about the Pima County sheriffs, or the Pima County supervisors. They have a meeting tomorrow, and I guess they're going to figure out what they're going to do with Mr. Nanos, because they had requested that he send a sworn statement answering questions, sworn under oath statement. And he has an attorney who replied to the supervisors, but it wasn't signed by him, and it certainly wasn't notarized by him. So technically, he did not complete the assignment. He did not understand the assignment, or he just disregarded the assignment. So let's see what the update is on this and what kind of a day he should expect tomorrow.
13 News starts right now.
I was never anticipating that the board would have the ability to even ponder removing the sheriff.
On Tuesday next week, the Pima County Board of Supervisors will decide whether or not to start a process that could lead to disciplinary action against Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, up to and including removing Nanos from his position altogether. Thanks for joining us for 13 News Live at 10. I'm Dan Maries. Mary has the night off. Pima supervisors could soon decide they want Nanos out, but how likely is that to happen if they actually do take that step? 13 News reporter Sean Mahoney joining us live in studio now with the answer. Sean.
Yeah, well, Dan, that possibility all stems from one specific statute in the state's constitution, specifically the timeliness of Nanos' responses to the board's questions surrounding several matters, including his previous work history. Now, I spoke with Ward 2 Supervisor Matt Hines, who put those items on Tuesday's agenda to discuss. And he explains, while that is one possible action the board can take, how likely is it? Well, hear from him yourself.
That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Again, this would be the first time in Arizona history.
The possibility for the Board of Supervisors to remove Chris Nanos from his position stems from statute ARS 11-253A, where the board required Nanos to respond to questions surrounding his past.
We got responses, 22 pages unsworn, from the sheriff. That's what was submitted as of the deadline.
Now, the key word there is unsworn, as Hines said it was a requirement for those responses to be under oath. So that will be the first topic the board will address in their executive session Tuesday morning.
Number one, looking at the responses that Sheriff Nanos provided, do they comply with the requirements set forth in statute?
Now, because Hines believes the response doesn't meet those requirements, the board has the ability to vote in the evening public session to vacate the Pima County Sheriff's office. But that's just one possibility.
There are other things other than remove him or not remove him.
According to Hines, after the deadline, Nanos' lawyers submitted the notarized statement, which leads to another question.
Can we / should we accept that additional material?
And if they do decide to accept it in executive session, it creates another possible outcome.
If we do, then we have to decide, did he commit perjury? We may not have to decide it all like on the 12th.
As Hines mentions, a decision on recommendation of criminal charges can be discussed but may not be voted on Tuesday. Through all this, the board can also decide not to take action against Nanos at all, rather make a recommendation.
If we don't remove him from office, I suspect there will be a discussion of adopting a resolution, perhaps a strongly worded statement to encourage him to step down.
While Hines says he would like the board to take that action to remove Nanos, it may be a stretch for it to happen Tuesday.
We do have some oversight authority, but very limited ability to remove an independently elected official. I don't know that the board is there.
Now, we reached out to Sheriff Nanos' office for a response to this possible action being taken against him, and a PCSD official told us they will wait for any decision to be made before commenting on the matter.
So basically, they're not going to do anything. That's what that tells me, is this whole thing was a dog and pony show. And and even if they ask the sheriff to resign, there's no way he's going to do that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's on an ego trip and a power trip, and there's just no way he's going to step aside. In his mind, he's 100% convinced that he has acted exactly how he should have. So I don't have any hope of anything like that happening and him stepping aside. But, that's fine. If the county supervisors are happy with that and they're happy with the reputation that they have globally right now, then good on them. I don't live there. So, ultimately, I just care about how people's cases are being handled right now. And that's ultimately, where I'm coming from is from the aspect of the victims. So, I don't know. We'll just wait and see. Again, everyone is I'm sure on the edge of their seat thinking that something is going to happen and he's going to get kicked out of his elected office tomorrow. But I don't think that's going to happen. That's my prediction, at least. So, all right. So tonight I wanted to, again, take a dive into really just kind of peeling apart the idea that the family, again, could know who the kidnapper is. And again, when I say that, it's not the name of the person. They probably don't know who the name of the person is. I think the person is educated enough, sophisticated enough that they've hidden their identity. But I believe that they are well aware of who this person is that's behind this plot. There has been some back and forth over the last few days about whether the family, when they first went to the house on that Sunday, whether or not they told Pima County law enforcement that day that they, that mom was not a walk-off, that there's no way she was a walk-off. Brian Cross, I think I said his name was James Cross, but Brian Cross, Sergeant Brian Cross with the union. There was some back and forth from him on a show where he stated that the family told law enforcement that she could have walked off. But according to Brian Enton, I think Brian Cross is backing off of that a little bit now, and maybe Aaron Cross. Thank you. Thank you so much, because yes, I get the names mixed up. So yes, Aaron Cross, thank you so much, TJ Wheeler. Aaron Cross is maybe backtracking on that a little bit. And, you know, I tell you guys that I absolutely read every single comment, and I am going to share a screen here. Because I took a screenshot of this, and these are all public. So Virginia Perez 6567 on my part 3 video, she says, I have an uncle that is a deputy in Tucson, Arizona. He was one of the first people to show up at Nancy Guthrie's house. And he kept saying that her mom was taken. And I don't know if Virginia is watching tonight, or if she's going to watch the replay, but this is why I read your comments, because again, while I am sharing this theory that the family knows who the perpetrator is because of a long game shakedown that had been going on in the background that caused this, I mean, I'm still open to whatever. And it sounds, and I wondered if Annie knew that Savannah had something, you know, an undercurrent of something going on. And for Virginia Perez 6567 to say that her uncle was one of the first people to show up, and Annie kept saying that her mom was taken. And here's K Beach 714 who says, I've seen your comments on other channels. Thank you. You know, there are people that have information, and they're trying to scream it from the rooftops. And, you know, in a world where true crimers, especially as invested as we all are with this case, for us to not have answers, we're all chomping at the bit for anything. So any insider information like this is so valuable. And this tells me that what I'm saying about the family knowing, why would you immediately go to your mom being kidnapped? I mean, if I came home, or if I was alerted mom didn't show up for online church service, didn't come to the friend's house, just talking through this, I go to the house, mom's not at the house, the back door is propped open, her purse and everything is there. I mean, I might first think, okay, is she in, you know, searching the property? Maybe she's on the property somewhere, even though I know she can't walk. Is she in the casita? Did somebody come pick her up and she forgot her purse? Maybe she's running an errand with a friend. There's a lot of things I'm going to go to long before I'm going to say my mom was kidnapped. Unless I understand that there's a celebrity in my family who has been getting emails from somebody asking to do, give, pay attention, whatever. Okay, why would I go to my mom was taken? If this is true, and Annie on day dot, before she calls Savannah in those first few hours, kept saying her mom was taken, and I do believe that law enforcement, again, are probably not seeing the connection and are just thinking, no, this old lady was not kidnapped. Nobody is going to think an 84-year-old is kidnapped. It does not compute with any like criminal pattern that these people see. And on that first day, we have reports that law enforcement treated it as a walk-off. And if this is true, and we now know that Annie is telling them and trying to get them to understand she could not walk off. Her mental capabilities are primo. She was taken, and they're still not getting there. Okay. And then Cam comes in on the scene. Cam's first response is, Mom was kidnapped for ransom. And then Savannah comes in and gets Senator Mark Kelly on the horn. And then the sheriff on the horn in the whatever hours, in the wee hours of the morning, whatever it was. We obviously don't have exact times on this. And again, we're only going off of things that we know. I'm trying to piece things together and use theories that really make more sense, because I mean, again, what were we all thinking on like February 3rd, February 4th, when it became very real that this was a crime scene, when it became very real that Savannah Guthrie's mom was gone? What were we all thinking? We were all saying, most likely this was a burglary gone wrong. Okay, because that's what makes sense. Then it's the family. The family's involved. The family did something. So we're probably going between the family. There's a family member that did something, or it's a burglary gone wrong. But amidst all of those things, if it's a burglary gone wrong, why take the body of an 84-year-old? Okay, if it's a family member and she expires during whatever transgression, why take the body? Taking the body did not make sense in any of this, okay? And so knowing now that those things are off the table, and I know I get a lot of flack because there are a lot of people that still think it's the family. And I talked in in episode 4 about how it's not the family, and if it was the family, as much of a black eye as the Pima County Sheriff's Department has taken, if they had even a shred of evidence and everything that they've gotten, enough to just detain a family member, they would have by now. And I mean, I had somebody who commented, I mean, if we look at the David case with that 14-year-old girl, they had her for almost a year before they arrested him. I can't say. I don't know. Maybe they are taking their time if it is a family member. Okay. I don't have all the answers. We're not going to have all the answers until the very, very end. I'm just saying, in my mind, trying to think about this logically, if it was a family member, as much heat as this whole thing and as much as of an embarrassment this whole thing has been, there's no way they wouldn't have had a ticker tape parade, perp walk with cameras, and Sheriff Nanos getting his guy and walking in with his Corvette, driving in with the hood down and flexing his muscles. Okay. So I think that it's too easy, too low hanging fruit, that if it was a family member, that there's enough on this case. The president, okay, guys, the president commented. The FBI had a plane waiting. Just had an interview the other day with Sean Hannity about how, there was 4 days supposedly that the sheriff blocked them out. And of course, the sheriff came back in and said, oh, no, that's not true, whatever. Okay. So I'm just telling you, the president is involved. There are people that are watching this case from all over the world. I see where visitors, come and watch my show, my little tiny show. And believe me, I've had people on from Scotland that said hi. And I would love to hear everyone. I want everyone to tell me where you're from, because this is a global story. This is a story that does not have answers. So again, I have to say, if this was a family member, I really think by now, if they had an iota of evidence, financial records, cell phone, car GPS, anything in the house, they would have they would have, had a field day with that. Okay, guys, it just, and again, I could be wrong, and I will be the first one to say, I'm just not seeing the logic in that right now. And I'm totally open. And I read your comments again, because every little thing, like this comment here, Annie kept saying her mom was taken. This is really important for us to consider. Okay. We need to use all these pieces that we can get and put it together. And true crimers, you guys are really critical thinkers. True crimers, one thing I've learned just being in this community for the last few years, you guys are sleuths. I mean, sleuths. There are people out there, brilliant people that have solved cases. I mean, it's amazing what folks, you guys are logical thinkers, critical thinkers. So again, we can't just go to the obvious on this. And the fact that seeing this note, Annie kept saying her mom was taken from somebody who is supposedly related to a first responder to the scene. Again, Cam's first thing is kidnapped for ransom. Savannah's first thing is, could it be me? I hope it's not me. Please tell me it's not me. People are not going to just go there. And it makes sense if law enforcement did not believe that the first day. Okay, because again, even the person leading this only has 2 years in homicide, he's going to even know and have never seen this before. Dr. Gary Brucato gave stats in his, profile of the perp, and stats on the fact that, the fact that this happened from a stranger for an 84-year-old woman is very low. It's like to somebody having this happen to them, statistically speaking, is like the same thing as winning a lottery. Okay. And I'm not saying it like it's a good thing, because it's horrifying, but it's so rare that somebody is going to kidnap for ransom an 84-year-old woman out of Tucson, Arizona. And law enforcement hearing from Annie saying, no, you don't understand. She can't walk. Her mind is great. She's been taken. And them not listening. There was nothing in the scene, nothing in the home that would have stated anything other, honestly, anything other than a walk-off. If we think about, if we go off of what we've heard, the fact that the house was nice and neat and tidy, the only thing weird was the back door is propped open, the camera being taken off the front, and some blood droplets. She could have tripped and fallen. That doesn't indicate homicide. That doesn't really indicate kidnap for ransom. It really doesn't. It indicates maybe something happened. She might have tripped and fallen. Maybe she got confused and started wandering. Who knows? She could be in the bushes, have passed out or something. So you can't really blame law enforcement that first day for either not listening or going against what the family, if they were saying it. I'm really surprised to think that Annie may have known what was going on in Savannah's private life. I could see Savannah sharing that with Cam because of Cam's military intelligence background. But again, we don't know how they interact with each other and how truly close they are, that maybe they're comfortable sharing everything. But this points to Annie obviously having known that there could be something going on in the background. And even if you have an obsessed fan, again, when we look at patterns of criminals, and I'm not an expert, I'm just saying what would make sense in my mind, okay? And people can disagree and convince me otherwise, that's fine, because again, I'm trying to keep an open mind. But what it would tell me is if there's an obsessed fan, that the fan is going to reach out retaliate against Savannah, that really the threat would be on Savannah. There's probably no universe where anybody could have ever foreseen that an obsessed fan or stalker would have struck out the way that this person, this monster did to Nancy Guthrie. And while obviously none of this is Savannah's fault, I want to be very clear with that. It certainly is not Savannah's fault that this happened to her mother. It's the fault of this ruthless monster who's sick in the head, in my opinion. So I really wanted to share this because, again, this goes back to, again, my theory that they knew something was going on with Savannah under the surface. First day, law enforcement was not listening. We're treating it as a walk-off. They lost precious time. Okay, they lost precious time by not acting. And it wasn't until Savannah Guthrie contacted Mark Kelly, Senator Mark Kelly, that I believe is when she finally was able to shake the tree enough and explain to Mark, you need to understand what's going on. And yes, Joe, exactly. That's exactly right. And I think that's exactly what happened. I think that there was a reaction time from Annie showing up and walking around the house and looking at her husband and going, there's no way. There's no way. And then the cops coming, and then probably the longer the cops argued with Annie, trying to convince them that their mother wasn't taken, Annie and Tommaso are probably going, no. And then seeing the blood, they're probably thinking, no, they did take her. And I'm sure law enforcement probably thought they looked pretty nuts. And again, they weren't getting anywhere. This case was not moving. There's, when we look at Sheriff Nanos, the first interview that he gives where he's talking about how this is a crime scene and they're treating it as a crime scene, that's a whole different message than what happened on day one. And again, law enforcement is supposed to follow the evidence. And the evidence in the home really does not lead somebody from going from a walk-off and walking around the property and going, oh yeah, gee, this must be a kidnap for ransom. No, there is nothing in the crime scene that would connect somebody to go from a walk-off to kidnap for ransom. There's no connection there, guys. So again, the family knows that somebody had been shaking down Savannah, and it wasn't until Savannah gets to town, has the call with Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly gets with the sheriff. They get with the sheriff and they explain, no. It's like holding his little head, his little pea head. Look at me. Look in my eyes, Chris Nanos. Okay. It's literally like, no, you need to understand. Somebody took my mother. That all of a sudden they're singing a different tune. I want to say hi back to David Fisher in Arizona, giving you a shout out. Good evening. So happy to have Arizona in the house. I was just there a week ago. That's crazy. All right. So what I want to talk about tonight is looking up. I pulled into ChatGPT to get some information because ChatGPT just makes things so much easier, guys. Please hold while I pull this up. All right. Talk amongst yourselves. And again, while I pull up my screen. Oh, it is up. Okay, you guys got it. Okay, good deal. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about is how can we get this guy? All right, they've put up these worthless billboards, in my opinion, worthless billboards. Okay, they have billboards that have pictures of Nancy Guthrie missing and then FBI tips. Anybody who knows anything that has to do with this case is not going to call 1-800 FBI tips. Okay, I've actually called that number with a tip. One of my watchers pointed out on day 53 that the blood on the porch, it looked like a heel print. And at that time, the media wasn't talking about that. I'm giving Ronald ST7ST a shout out right now because he was watching one of my lives and he's like, hey, did you notice? And if you look, and some people have talked about it now, but there's literally in the blood, it looks like there's a heel print. It's round, okay? And it's not a natural drop. So at the time, again, media wasn't talking about it. I hadn't heard anything. And believe me, I'm drilling through articles, okay? So I called 1-800 FBI tips because not because, you know, if it led to anything that I wanted a reward, it was really, I wanted to call the number and see what you actually go through. And it's about a 15-minute process. And they do ask you for your address. They ask you for your phone number, your name. I don't think they ask my birth date. I think you probably, there's a way to do it anonymously. But here's the thing with rewards, okay? You don't just get rewards. Everybody's like, why hasn't somebody called in with a reward? Well, you know what? If you call in a tip to 1-800 FBI tips, okay, you call in a tip and it actually leads to the arrest and conviction of a perpetrator. If it's completely tied to your tip, it goes to some sort of a board, like a group of people actually look at your tip and the case, and then they determine whether or not it was the tip that solved the case and whether or not you then get the reward. Okay. It isn't like you just call in FBI tips line and then 2 days later, they're like, oh yeah, no, this is the dude. We got him locked up. And then everyone's just handing you $1 million. It isn't like that. There's a board that actually looks at it and determines whether or not you actually have earned the reward. So it's not, and you know, anonymous, give me a break. I mean, you think you can go to a post office with a code and they're going to hand you $1 million and there's not cameras? It's not anonymous. No one's going to do that. Okay. No one is going to do that. So I'm thinking, you know, how can we figure this out? Oh, and also the billboards, going back to the billboards with the picture of Nancy. When I was in Tucson, anytime I got in an Uber car or I was with somebody I was talking, I asked them, have you heard about the Nancy Guthrie case? And there's some people like, oh yeah, what's going on? I heard about that. Yeah, no, what is that? People that live there don't know what that is. So if you're in Houston or Los Angeles and you see a billboard with this little grandma saying missing, call 1-800 FBI tips, they're going to think that she's just missing. No, she's been murdered. Okay. And it's Savannah Guthrie's mom. So those billboards are useless. Now, if they had put the video or the still image of Porch Guy up there, the one with the eyes, you know, that might have made more sense. Maybe they could have squeezed in 2 pictures of how he was standing, but there's more video. There's more video than what we've seen on Porch Guy. And we know this. Why? Because Savannah told us without telling us. I painstakingly, and I love all you guys that sat through this the other night, an hour and a half going through her interview with Hoda on the Today Show and literally going word by word, phrase by phrase. She tells us that her mother was taken from her bed in her pajamas with no shoes on. Okay, very specific. And yeah, maybe the slippers were by the bed, but she's very specific that she was begging for her life in her pajamas with no shoes on. And I see your comment. The reward from the family at this point, they just want her body back. I think the family is willing to pay $1 million reward to get their mother back. I don't think they need her to be alive. They really just need closure. They want her remains. That's my understanding. But and this is a great question, Joe. I've never heard of a reward being paid. Maybe. But it's not just cut and dry. It's not that simple. And if you think you're going to do it anonymously, I don't think it is. You know, they're going to see your car pull in wherever you're going. And again, people are going to see you, cameras at the business, blah, blah, blah. So going back to the video, there's got to be more video. Okay, so let's think about this logically. There was no subscription for the camera. The camera got pulled down, but the FBI was able to got with Google and said, hey, you guys, can you please look through this, see what you can find, okay? They show us this short video of Porch Guy doing his weirdness. And then later on, there's a still photo of Porch Guy approaching the porch on January 11th. So guys, we know they got all the video. They have video of Nancy leaving that front door. They know they have more video. And they need to release the whole video, guys. And I don't know how to, just like I said, TMZ should have paid that ransom. Even if the family didn't, the half Bitcoin, the whole Bitcoin, TMZ should have paid that ransom to see what happened. We need more. Okay, the public needs more. It's like, help me help you. The public needs more. And you know what? We can handle it. I'm sure that they don't want to release it because it's very vulnerable. It's terrifying. It's scary. It's a woman being led away from her home to her doom. And it's shocking. And it's Savannah's mother, and nobody wants to see that. But we need more of Porch Guy. We need everybody on this planet to see as much video of Porch Guy and how even if he isn't the mastermind, Porch Guy is involved, and maybe Porch Guy is dead. Okay, there's that theory out there, is that Porch Guy screwed this up royally. His job was to get Nancy out of the house so they could send the reward or the ransom notes and get money back, and they were going to return her. Okay, screwed the whole thing up. Had a conflict at the front door, struck her, beginning of the end. And the next door neighbors, there are videos. They're going through thousands of hours of videos, probably car videos down the street, but the neighbor videos aren't going to be any good. Just the foliage that's in that area is nuts. Okay, it's just not going to be clear. But I know for a fact, there's just no way you can tell me, and I shouldn't say I know for a fact, I'm just using a phrase. You can't tell me there's not more video of Porch Guy. They just gave us a portion of it that is probably safe and not terrifying, because honestly, if the neighbor saw that whole video of them taking Nancy out, people would probably board up their windows and never come out again. And yes, it is terrifying, but we need to see more. And what I want them to share the ransom notes. I want to see the ransom notes, because there's a lot we can gather from that. And yeah, you're right. I don't like we need to have him alive. Absolutely. And it's just a theory. We need him alive because he's going to lead back to, even if he is the guy, either way, we need him to be found. But even if he isn't, if they have his DNA in the house and they're able to get him through genetic genealogy, then we still might be able to put a picture together from family and friends if they can identify him, or digital evidence. They probably can access his phone without the phone. They probably can subpoena text messages, etc., from the cell service. So anyway, I think that even if he's gone, I think they probably can lead back to, if he isn't the puppet master, they can lead back to the puppet master. But we need the ransom note. We need more. We need more. And so I pulled up on Chat GPT, which I called Chad, just asking about how law enforcement can use, sharing more information with the public and how it can help. So how releasing perpetrator information helps identify suspects. Investigators often release handwriting samples, phrases, audio clips, surveillance images, linguistic patterns, nicknames, unusual spellings, references, or behavioral details. And even though these ransom notes were done through a contact us form on TMZ, is what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, there could be phrases or words, just like spelling. Well, so this sounds like so-and-so. So-and-so, his speech cadence is kind of like that. And so-and-so has been talking like he's been kind of crazy lately. He's not been making sense, and he's been talking about people, whatever it is. So I think releasing what the note says can give us a lot of information. Releasing more video, even if it isn't of them dragging Nancy away. We need more. We need more. And they need to share more. Those billboards, I'm happy for the media company. I've worked in media for 27 years. They love that media buy for those billboards. Dang, they're year over year, when they go against that sale next year and they don't have this revenue coming in, dang, it's gonna be hard for them to replace that revenue, but it's not working. Okay? It's not working. It's a waste of money. Waste of money. And they could have even rotated. Creative. They could have rotated that bulletin board and kept Nancy up there, but the next image could have been the close-up of Porch Guy with the eyeballs and the hand. The next one could have been him walking or standing. So what investigators can learn from ransom notes, and education level, even Harvey Levin is like, this guy's educated. He uses proper grammar. I mean, that stood out. So why, if they haven't got this guy, and from what we understand from like Brian Enton and Ashley Banff, people that have contacts, even Chris McDonough on his show the other night, he's got contacts. Supposedly they don't have any leads. They don't have anybody. They're waiting for this DNA. Okay. Then why aren't they sharing more? Why don't they share more? Is it going to hurt? I mean, I don't think that you can do, I don't think at this point you can do too much. At this point, we can take it. Now raise your hand if you could handle seeing more video that might be disturbing, if it means that we could maybe nail this guy. Who wants to read those ransom notes, not just out of morbid curiosity? Who wants to read those ransom notes because it might identify something about this person? Phrases. So every person has tiny language habits, repeated phrases, favorite insults, unusual capitalization, regional slang. I have an ex-husband, and I can tell exactly. Without knowing it was him, I could tell you it was him just by certain words that he would use. I can tell you. Yeek. Military phrasing, legal terminology, internet jargon, grammar structures. My coworker talks exactly like this. Yeah, and I did a show about the 12 scientists that are missing on the UFOs. I think that's very interesting, and I think there is a connection to some of them. And I believe in aliens. And yeah, they're not going to share about aliens because they think people are going to freak out. But guess what? I think that for the majority of people, I think we can handle it. And here's the thing, we can switch the channel easier now than ever. We can just not watch things. If it's too upsetting, we can turn the channel. Obsession. The wording could reveal whether the offender focused on Nancy, Savannah, fame, punishment, religion, grievance, fantasy. Okay, there are some things that are specific in the ransom notes that we've been told about things in the home that only somebody who was there would know. You know, I think that there's potentially something about an Apple Watch charging on the side table or whatever, okay? Do they mention Savannah repeatedly? Do they reference TV appearances? Do they act emotionally wounded? Do they demand attention rather than money? And yes, this is probably 50% money and 50% attention. This guy loves attention. Loves attention. Someone who doesn't want attention is not going to send a ransom note to TMZ. Just saying. Someone who loves or doesn't want attention is not going to send a ransom note to a Tucson station where Savannah Guthrie worked. Just saying. Prior contact detection. If the public saw repeated phrases, identical wording, recurring usernames, familiar threats, it matches emails he sent me. You know who the number one person who squeals? Ex-girlfriends. Turn any 48 hours episode and tell me that they interview the girlfriend or the wife and they stand by their man, and then all of a sudden a year later they're broke up, they get the girlfriend or the wife, the ex-wife in, and they start spilling their guts saying, I was under his control, I loved him. So guess what? If this guy has sent an ex-girlfriend crazy letters with this type of language in it, she's going to talk. Any ex-girlfriend is going to love to bury this guy if he's nuts. Okay, we need more. We need all the ransom notes. We need all the video. And I could go on and on and on again, but here we've got narcissism, check, paranoia, maybe, delusions, check, sadism, maybe, insecurity, maybe, fixation, check, desire for fame, check, theatrical personality, check, need for recognition, check, celebrity obsession, check. Why authorities sometimes refuse to release notes? Because only the real offender would know exact wording, specific phrases, hidden references. And this gets down to if they need somebody to come in and give them specific information about the crime during interrogation, they are going to want to not release everything. And I get that, but there's probably going to be nuances to this case that they can hold back and not spill the case. But even releasing one of the ransom notes just so we can get like the cadence, the general personality, the lingo, you know, if they don't have a suspect, we need something. We need more. And Savannah has even asked people to help. If you see something, say something. Well, babe, we need more. Okay, we need more than a 1-minute video of porch guy grabbing shrubbery. And I keep hearing Monty Python, shrubbery, neat, shrubbery. When I see that, sorry, I have a weird sense of humor. So thank you, Ashcat. You know what? I love your compliment, and I will tell you why. Because I believe in freedom of speech, and I don't delete anything anyone writes. And there are a lot of people who who think I'm nuts and want me to shut up. So, and that's fine. I don't, you know what? I'll shut up when we know what happened to Nancy and I drink my Coke Zero. Yeah, with 100 days gone, it's not going to hurt anything. And if they want help, we need more. And I think we can handle it. We're getting ready to realize that we've got alien beings in bodies. Yes, Joe. Yes. 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 Oh my gosh. Yes. Please. How do we know he's not going to do this to someone else? Even Sheriff No-Nads, Chris McDonough calls him No-Nads, said that there could be a threat. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Please don't have this happen to anyone else. The neighbors, I would be terrified if I were the neighbors, honestly, because we don't know. I would be freaked out. One major historical example, the Unabomber case was famously cracked after the FBI released portions of Theodore Kaczynski's manifesto. His brother recognized specific wording, ideological patterns, and writing style. Without public release, the case might have remained unsolved much longer because the brother turned him in. In the Nancy Guthrie investigation, public reporting already suggests investigators believe the communications matter psychologically, the offender may crave attention, and the motive may extend beyond money, which I completely agree. So anyway, this is my cry. I would love for them to release more. And we need to, like I said, I was in Tucson. I was in an Uber in Phoenix, and I'm asking everybody that I could get to talk to me, what do you know about it? Oh yeah, I think I heard something about it. But guess what? People are involved in their lives. And people aren't watching TV like they used to. People aren't watching TV, and I can guarantee everybody that's watching my videos and all the other YouTube channels watching those videos, we've all been following this since day one, because this case is one for the history books. And yeah, we're totally into this, and we're hanging on every word, every detail. But the general population is not interested. They might be interested. They don't know about it. They don't care to get into it. Their lives are busy. They're in their own headspace. So yeah, no, there's people don't know, and it's not going to get solved that way. And people aren't going to call that FBI tips line and turn anyone in. I was naive enough to think after the family put up the $1 million, I'm thinking, oh, their days are numbered. I was thinking their hours were numbered, but no. Naive. And yes, somebody can commit the perfect crime in 2026, much against what I thought was possible. I didn't think that there was no way anyone could do what has been done, but it's been done. So, well, I appreciate everybody joining me. Is anybody going to CrimeCon? It's literally in like 2.5 weeks. I'm going to be at CrimeCon. I appreciate everybody so much for joining. Again, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and comment, and turn on your notification bells. I'm almost to 10,000 subs. I'm a growing channel, so I definitely appreciate everybody's support so much. I love everybody who's been joining me. I feel like we're all in this together. We're all one big club here for Nancy. So until the next time, I will catch you guys all on the flip side. Take care.